What's up? This is Tarek. So I have been using the CycPlus T3 Trainer since February of this year, February 2024. So it's been a little over 7 months now. Actually, according to their app, I have logged over 53 hours and covering over 1,600 kilometers, so about 1,000 miles in total. So this is essentially a long-term review. So let's dive in. The CycPlus T3, which I will refer to as a T3 from now on, is available directly from the CycPlus website for $1,099 US, and that price includes shipping and comes with an 11-speed cassette pre-installed. You can also find it on Amazon and other websites depending on where you are located, but as usual, I'll try to work with the vendor to try and get a discount code for you if I can, so be sure to check out the description below the video for any special offers. Okay. Let's talk about what you get with the T3. Inside the box, you will find the trainer itself with an 11-speed cassette already installed, along with a trainer mat, adapters for through axle and quick release bikes, an ANT plus key with a cable extension, a wrench, an Allen key, and a disc brake pad spacer. And the T3 is built with 4 foldable legs that are easy to fold and unfold, just to make it easy to store when you are not using it. There's also a carry handle, which I find to be incredibly useful for carrying the trainer and moving the trainer around. So unlike traditional flywheels on direct drive trainers, the T3 uses a brushless motor controlled by 50 neodymium magnets and 45 sets of electromagnetic coils. And this design is quite similar to the Tacx Neo virtual flywheel. You've probably seen that, and it functions in a similar way. And the T3 has a maximum power output of 2,800 watts, maximum gradient simulation of 27%, which is very steep. It measures power within plus minus 1% accuracy. Also, no need for calibration, so you can just hop on and start riding without any hassle. It supports both Bluetooth 5 and ANT Plus communication, broadcast power, left-right power balance, and cadence. And one cool feature in this trainer is a downhill simulation when the trainer is plugged into power. So when you are going downhill, the flywheel will simulate that downhill movement, so it will just keep spinning. It also works unplugged, by the way, and the only thing that you will miss out when unplugged is a downhill simulation. Outside of that, everything else works the same as when it's plugged into power. It is compatible with 8 to 12 speed bikes. I tested it with my 10-speed quick release and 11-speed through axle bikes, and both work without issues. If you have a 12-speed bike, you will need to get an XDR adapter, which is sold separately. And the ride feel on the CycPlus T3 is smooth and quiet. No vibration or skipping. I would say it is on par with higher-end trainers when it comes to pedal smoothness. Lower-end trainers often have that dead spot in the pedal stroke, but I did not experience that at all with the T3. It feels solid and very responsive. Now, the big question for trainers with virtual flywheels, how does it handle high load, like when climbing or sprinting? And the T3 is rated for 110 Newton meters of torque, which is pretty high. And this means it can handle strong forces like when you are cranking out watts on a steep climbs or sprinting and without losing any resistance. And in my experience, it worked very well for me, and I did not experience flywheel slippage on sprints or steep climbs in low gear and standing out of the saddle. Now, it does not mean you're not going to experience flywheel slippage, because that's the main disadvantage with virtual flywheels like this, and every rider is different. But in my own personal experience and riding style, I did not experience any slippage like I did with the CycPlus T2 trainer. Okay, moving on to power measurement. The T3 measures power with plus minus 1%, and in all my tests, it has been absolutely solid. For example, this ride, as you see, both the CycPlus T3 and the Wahoo PowerLink were measuring almost identical power numbers. But let's zoom in on one of these sections here, and you can see that the T3 and PowerLink are very close. And let's move on to another ride. Let's zoom into the first section with the 3 short intervals here, and you will notice that all 3 power meters were moving together very nicely. There's a slight delay from the CycPlus during the 3rd interval here, but nothing too concerning. And moving forward to the final two sprint sections, the CycPlus continued to track nicely here alongside the other two power meters, and the power link was a few watts higher here than the Magene P505 power meter, and the T3 sits just slightly below them, which is what I would expect. Looking into the recovery sections, no issues there as well when measuring low watts and being able to keep me at such low watts in erg mode. And speaking of erg mode, here's a standard erg mode test that I run to evaluate bike trainers. Overall, the CycPlus T3 responded very well to quick changes in power, as you see here in these short 20 seconds on and 20 seconds off sections. It was able to go from 100 watts to over 300 watts and back down to 100 watts without any issues. Now, moving on to the low cadence section here, this is where many trainers tend to struggle. In the first part, going from 100 watts to 234 watts and lowering my cadence to around 50 RPM, the T3 did reasonably well. It adjusted the resistance to 225, 227 watts and held it steady for a while. However, the second section at 260 watts at 50 RPM cadence, the T3 stayed around 230 and 240 watts and did not respond to the increased resistance. However, in another ride, same test, the T3 did make that adjustment, but it looked like it was not sure if it should keep me there or not. This isn't necessarily a flaw, it's designed that way on purpose to prevent riders from getting into that spiral of death in erg mode. As the trainer detects very low cadence, it tries not to add additional resistance so you do not get into that spiral of death and fail the intervals. But despite that, the CycPlus T3 performed super well in all other erg mode scenarios that I tested it in. The T3 also measures cadence and it does an excellent job there. I did not spot any issues with cadence measurement anywhere. And the T3 is also quiet, not silent, so you will hear a slight humming noise. So overall, I have been really happy with the CycPlus T3. The trainer is solid, not a single issue in the last 7 months I have used it. The ride feel is very smooth, comparable to high-end bike trainers, and it has plenty of power to support a wide variety of cyclists. The power measurement has been just rock solid. I did not experience any issues or have any doubts or reasons to doubt its accuracy. It's been just reliable for the past 7 months I have used it, so I can just hop on and ride without worrying about calibrating or second guessing the power numbers. And the CycPlus app is well polished and it makes it easy to update the firmware and adjust other settings. However, for its price, the T3 is missing a few features that are becoming more standard in the space. Mainly, it lacks multiple Bluetooth connections, for example, and Wi-Fi connectivity. So if those features are critical, that's something to keep in mind. Another thing to note, the T3 currently is not Zwift ready, meaning it is not compatible with the Zwift cog or Zwift virtual shifting. So if that is on your radar, or if you are considering getting the Zwift ride frame at some point in the future, the T3 won't be a fit for that setup. Maybe that's something that will come in the future, but as of this review, it's not compatible. But it is compatible with Zwift. It will work just fine. And other apps like Trainer Road, MyWash, IndieVelo, it will work just fine. But it's just not compatible with the Zwift frame or Zwift cog and Zwift virtual shifting. Other than that, the T3 feels sturdy and has been very durable in the 7 months that I have used it. So, okay, there you have it, folks. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching. And if you find this video helpful, feel free to share it with others, and do not forget to tap that like button. And if you are still watching but have not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video.